Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back. Today's Daf Yomi is Kesubos Nun Ches. We are holding 4 lines from the top of the Amid. Back to the Mishnah. We learned that once the Arusa, the engaged woman, will reach the wedding date, and this fellow is procrastinating, he must begin feeding her. Suppose he is a Kohen. Says the Mishnah, he can start feeding her teruma as well. Now, what proportion of the food that he will be giving her can be teruma, and what will be chulin? After all, she cannot eat teruma all the time. She must have non-teruma material for those days in the month where she is not tahar and cannot access teruma. So we had this machlekes back in the Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda says 50-50. Half truma and half chulin to accommodate those non-tahar days. Rabbi Tarfon allows the fellow to give her 100% teruma. She'll just take some of it and exchange it with her father, who's a kohen as well. Amar Abaye, machlokes bebas kohen lekohen. This whole discussion. This that Rabbi Tarfon allows her husband, the kohen, to feed her entirely teruma, that's only when she's a bas kohen. Her father is a kohen as well, and now she is en route to marrying a kohen. So she'll take his teruma, her chasan's teruma, and exchange some of it with her father, who will give her chulin instead, since he's a kohen as well. He'll gladly take some of the teruma and give her some chulin, which she can use when she is not able to eat teruma. Aval bevas Yisrael lekohen. But if her father is a Yisrael and she's on the way to marrying a kohen, in this case, divrei hakoil all agree you can't get away with giving her teruma, which of course is cheaper than chulin because there's less demand for teruma, less consumers. So in this case, all agree you can't get away with that. Divrei hakoil mechza chulin or mechza teruma. It's 50% teruma and 50% chulin, which will supply her needs during the Yemei Tuma. Another point to mention, machlekes ba'arusa. This whole discussion in the Mishnah is speaking about an isha who's merely an arusa. She's engaged to this fellow. In which case, even when she has extra truma, she can go give it to her father, being she's still living in her father's home. Aval b'nesua, but a married woman whose husband is feeding her, sort of allocating supplies for his wife, Rashi says, through a third party, there's some sort of arrangement. In this case, of course, divrei hakoil all agree, mechza chulin and mechza truma, it's going to be 50% truma and 50% chulin, because there's nobody to look after her. She doesn't have a father to go make deals with, to look after her, to exchange material. So now he's feeding her directly. Her husband has to supply her with what she needs. We find the same in a Bryce. Rabbi Tarfon, according to Rabbi Tarfon, he can give her all truma. Rabbi Kiva Omer mechza chulin umechza truma, half and half. When is this said? Bebas kohen lekohen. If she is from a kohen family, en route to marrying a kohen, in which case she can perhaps take out some of that extra truma which she cannot use and do some deals with her father. Aval bas Yisrael lekohen. But if she's from a Yisrael family going to marry a kohen, nobody in her family has any use for truma. In this case, divrei hakoil all agree, mechza chulin umechza truma. You have to give her 50-50 so she can have what she needs. Rashi says, kol kvuda bas melach pnima, based on a pasuk in Tehillim. A woman doesn't go out and do transactions out in the marketplace. If she doesn't have a father to tend to her needs, she's going to be stuck. So you have to give her enough chulin to accommodate those non-tahir days of the month. Furthermore, when does this discussion apply? When does Rabbi Tarfon say you can get away by giving her entirely truma, ba'arusa, when she's merely engaged, and again she's back home, so she'll have people to look after her needs. Aval b'nesua, but a married woman, divrei hakol, all agree mechza chulin and mechza truma. You have to give her enough chulin for those days of the month that she needs it. So we have two shittas: 100% truma, half and half. Here come several more shittas. Rabbi Yehuda Kessler Eimer noisnin lo shtei yadei shel truma v'achas shel chulin. He says it's 2/3 truma and 1/3 of chulin. So for some reason he considers that enough for her needs. Chances are she's only tummy 1/3 of the month, and that's enough. Rabbi Yehuda Eimer noisnin lo hakoil truma. He says, look, you don't have to give her any chulin. This fellow can give her everything truma, but give her enough truma that would allow her to sell some of that truma and buy chulin to meet her needs. And as we explained, since truma is typically lower in value than chulin, because truma is something which has less demand, etc., you have to give her proportionately more, right? You have to give her more truma than the theoretical chulin that she needs. This would allow her to sell the truma and purchase an adequate amount of chulin as per her needs. If he moicheres, she'll take some of that truma and sell it off. But loy kachas bedamim chulin, use the money to buy chulin. One final shita: Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel Eimer, you have to go beyond that. Not enough to give her a little extra truma, way more truma. This way she can just strike an easy, quick deal with somebody and get what she needs. Don't put her through the whole process of having to go out and seek buyers, and give her a lot extra so she can sell it at a discount, do a quick deal, and come home with what she needs. Whenever we make mention of giving her all truma, how much truma do you have to give? Way more than what she really needs. Double as much as the chulin that she needs. She needs only 1 pound of chulin. You give her 2 pounds of truma. This way she can sell it quick and easy and come back home. What is the point between Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel and Rabbi Yehuda? It seems like they're both concerned with her getting chulin at the end of the day. Difference is ikibinau tircha. How much does she have to work, to toil? How much effort does she have to put in? According to Rabbi Yehuda, we just give her a bit more truma, which equals the value of the chulin that theoretically she would have to buy, but it takes effort to go and find buyers and sell it and buy. Whereas according to the last sheet, Rabban Shimon Gamliel, you give her way more than she really needs. This way she can sell it at a discount quickly and easily and purchase the chulin that she needs. So bottom line is, this chassan of ours will give her teruma. Now we're speaking about an engaged wife, an arusa, but it was higia azman, the wedding date arrived. He looks after her, he gives a truma. If he's a kohen and she's a bas kohen, that's when there's a shita that allows him to give her all truma, because she'll have a father to do some deals with. Likewise, we're speaking about Narusa, she's merely engaged. Again, this allows her to make use of her father's services. So how much truma? According to Rabbi Tarfon, 100% truma. Rabbi Kiva disagrees, half and half. Rabbi Yehuda Kessler says, well, 2/3 truma is fair. Rabbi Yehuda says, all truma, but give her enough so she can sell and purchase the chulin that she needs. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel adds, furthermore, you give her a double amount of truma than chulin that she needs, because it will make for an easy exchange, easy sale, and accommodate her needs. Hayavam eina machal betruma. So an isha whose husband passed away, no children, she's slated for yibum with the brother-in-law. There's no truma going on until he actually acquires her. My time of what's wrong? Kinin kaspa emar achmona, Torah says. Any possession of a kohen, his slave, his wife, they can have his truma. But a Yavama, kinyan da achiv hu, was acquired by his brother. It's not my wife, it's my brother's. So until the Yavam actually engages her, he actually does Yibum, until that point, she's his brother's. And she cannot have his truma. Also, so shisha chadoshim b'fnei abal. So we take a look at the back of the Mishnah, we find something interesting. It almost seems like the Mishnah is out of sequence. We say the Yavam cannot feed, even if she was already engaged for 6 months with the first husband, then he passed away, and now she's waiting for 6 months for the Yavam to do Yivam. And then the Mishnah says, even if she was engaged for almost a year with her husband who passed away, and then she went for Yivam to the Yavam for just one day, last day of the year. So basically, the second case is a greater chiddush than the first case, right? Even though she was waiting for marriage, she was engaged for almost a year with the husband, still the Yavam cannot feed her. And then the Mishnah says, oh, well, even if she was engaged for one day, after which her chassan passed away, and then she waited almost a whole year with the Yavam, no truma. Well, once we know the previous case, she was engaged almost a year with the first husband, that doesn't allow her to have truma from the Yavam, certainly in the case where she was only engaged for one day. Why would the Mishnah have to bring that case at all? Once we already know the first case. Once you tell me that she was engaged to the first husband for almost a year, it doesn't help her much. It goes without saying that if she was just engaged for one day and the rest of the year she was waiting for the Yavam, of course she's not going to get his truma. It's a lesser chiddush. Answer, you're right. Zu, we mentioned the first case, and it goes without saying that the second case as well, Ketani, that's how the Mishnah is presenting it. That's a formula that we find throughout many Mishnayos. This and certainly that. Zu Mishnah Rishayna. So yesterday we learned that Menat Torah and Arusa can have Truma. The Rabbanan were concerned, we don't allow it. Until when? Mishnah Rishayna, the earlier edition of the Mishnah is maintained, Higia Zman, that triggers Mezainis, that triggers Truma. The wedding date arrives. According to the final version of the Mishnah, Mishnah Achrayna, she's not entitled to access his Truma until they actually marry. My time. Asks the Gemara, well, what changed? Why was the Mishnah Achrayna concerned and did not allow her to have Truma until the actual marriage? Amar Ula, V'itema, some say it was Rav Shmuel bar Yehuda Misham Simpan. He might discover something that would nullify, that would give him second thoughts. Might find a blemish in her. Cancel the entire engagement. The truma that she ate was usher to her. Right? If the kedushin is batal, and she was never engaged to a kohen, and all the truma that she had until this point was not meant for her. So that's why we switched the halacha. You cannot have truma until chuppah, which cements the entire relationship. You know that he's pretty confident that this is his. He's not going back. Now, let's go back and analyze the entire sequence of events here. Minatira Arusa Itz. Mishnah Rishayna, only from Higia Zman. Why? Let's stop for a second. Why do we have to wait for Higia Zman? So we discussed this yesterday. We had Ula's Pshat. Ula says, well, she might go ahead and share your truma with her siblings. She's still home, right? She might feed her family. So that's why we say no truma until the actual wedding date arrives. And we explained this yesterday because at that point he's already making her eat in private because he's feeding her, right? He's chayiv in her mezainas, so she goes and eats separate from her family. No sharing with siblings. According to Rav Shmuel bar Yehuda yesterday, the reason was simpan. There's a concern that he might discover some blemish, and cancel the engagement. No truma until Higia Azman, until the wedding date arrives. He's already checked her out. It's a done deal. Now we have Mishnah Achroina, which went a step further. Higia Zman is not enough. You need chuppah. Okay, why? My time. Amar Ula v'temer of Shmuel Yehuda Mishum Simpan. Here are the reasons. Certainly is connected to Simpan. You might discover a blemish. You never know that he's going to really go with it until the actual chuppah. You know he's checked her out. It's a done deal. So now we're going to try to figure out why the Mishnah Rishona pegged it at Higia Zman, and the Mishnah Achrona pegged it at chuppah. So B'Shleim Ula, according to Ula, it works. Kamaysa Mishum Shema Yimizugula Kois Bevesavia. The reason for the Mishnah Rishona not allowing Truma until Higia Zman was based on what we said yesterday. Ula said because she might share the food with her siblings, who are not Kohanim. That concern no longer applies once the wedding date arrives and he's feeding her, he's separating her from the family. Ubas Raisa Mishum Simpan. Mishnah Achroina wasn't happy with that because there's an additional concern, Simpan. He might discover a blemish, a mum, and cancel the deal. So don't have Truma until chuppah when you know it's been cemented and it's a final deal. So we understand that the two approaches. The Mishnah Rishona was based on one reason, which was applicable until Higia Zman. Mishnah Achrona added another concern, Simpoin, which takes you all the way to chuppah. Ela l'Rav Shmuel bar Yehuda. But according to the other sheet, who explained? Now the reason for Mishnah Rishona allowing Truma only starting from Higia Zman was because of these Simpoin that he might discover until then. So according to him, Kamaisa Mishum Simpoin. The reason for Mishnah Achrona is Simpoin. Ubas Raisa Mishum Simpoin. We just said in the name of Shmuel bar Yehuda, the reason for Mishnah Achrona not allowing Truma until chuppah, again the same reason, Simpoin. My benayu. So how could the same concern of Simpoin generate two realities, two conclusions? If Mishnah Rishona was concerned with Simpoin, therefore no Truma until Higia Zman, but past Higia Zman, that's okay. No concern of Simpoin anymore. But Mishnah Achrona comes and says no. For the same very reason of Simpoin, no Truma until chuppah. What's going on here? I'll tell you what the difference of opinion was. B'dikas chutz. You see, Rashi says b'dikas chutz means an external examination. Shabbat b'yad kroi voisav. He didn't personally examine her. He sent his agents. He has his family to examine her to make sure there's no mum. Right? So he gets his confirmation from an outside source. B'dikas chutz. Is that enough to allay any Simpoin concerns? Mar Savar. So the Mishnah Rishona figures, B'dikas chutz shma b'dika. That is sufficient to set aside any fears of Simpoin, of blemishing, of cancellation. So at the point of Higia Zman, when he starts paying for her mezonos, he has her checked out. Although via external sources, that's enough. We're no longer choshesh that he's going to go back on his deal. Umar sava b'dikas chutz lo yishma b'dika. Whereas Mishnah Achrona maintains that's not enough to really confirm that she's free of any mumin. There's still that lagging concern that once they marry, he'll personally discover something that he's unhappy with. So we're not confident that this is really going to carry on, and therefore, no truma until actual chuppah. Says the Mishnah, Magdish Masei de Ishtay. Fellow gets up and says, look, my wife has a job, she has some earnings, I'm giving away those earnings to the Beis HaMikdash, making it Hegdish. Does it catch or not? It does not catch. Harezu, Oisa, Va'ichelas, the Isha can work, earn, and use her wages, unaffected by his Hegdish commitment. It's sort of out of his reach. HaMoiser, what about the extra that she earns? Beyond what she really needs for her, daily necessities. Rabbi Emer Hegdish. a fellow who was magdish that extra, it works. His wife's extra earnings becomes hektish. And Rashi explains, we're going to see in a couple of days, Bezus Hashem, that there were some set, standard guidelines as to what an Isha has to earn, Isha has to produce. It's part of the marriage, arrangement. So the basic Masi Yadayim, he can't really have an effect on. If he's Magdish it does not become Hegdish. It's not his to be Magdish. But the extras, beyond the standard earned income, if he's Magdish that, Rabbi Meir says, it becomes Hegdish. Rabbi Meir Eimer Hegdish, Rabbi Yechanan Hasander. Rabbi Yechanan the Tana, who was a shoemaker, he was still a Tana. Eimer, he says, Chulin, that extra, that too, is unaffected by his saying, it remains non-hegdish. Amar Rav Huna Amar Rav. An Isha can get up and tell her husband, look, deal, no deal. Eini nizoinus. I don't need your mizoinus. Ve'eini oisa, nor am I producing for you. She's a high earner. She says, look, I have nothing to gain from this deal. The Chachamim made an arrangement, you take my earnings, you feed me. Let's, to each his own. You keep your food and I'll keep my earnings. You can do that. She can do that. You know why? Because the entire arrangement was for her benefit. Because Savar Rav holds, when the Rabbanan were masakin mizoini ikar, it starts with mizoinis. Umasya de mishum eva. The point is to benefit the Isha, to look after her needs. Starting point was you pay her mizoinis. Oh, so why do you get masya de mishum eva? To avoid any hard feelings. Look, I'm feeding you, you're not giving me your earnings. So the masya dying to the husband was secondary to the chi of mizoinis between him and her. So now that the Isha gets up and says, look, I don't need the deal. Skip the Mazainis, and I will not give you Masya Daim. Harushus Biyada, it's totally up to her. Meisve, here comes a kasha. A brisa which we had back on Daf Mem Zayin, which indicates otherwise. That the sequence is meant to be reversed. Tiknu Mazainis, the reason why the Chachamim will masakin that he gives her Mazainis, Ta'achas Ma'asya Deh. It's an exchange for the earnings that he's getting from her. It sounds like Masya Daim is number one, followed by Mazonis is number two. Ema, let's revise it as follows. Tiknu Masya Deh Tachas Mazonis. Because he's giving her Mazonis, that's why he gets her Masya Daim. Leima Masya, perhaps we will have a riot to this concept from our very Mishnah. Hamagdish Masya Deishta. He's Magdish his wife's earnings. Harehi Oisav Eichelas. She's totally unconcerned with his hegdish. She can earn and consume those earnings. They remain unaffected by his hegdish. My love, shall we not assume bini zaynis? He was speaking about a husband, typical husband, who has what to feed. He's offering her mezaynis. Still, what does the Mishnah say? Her Masya Daim are totally out of his control because, as we said, it's all up to her and how she wants to arrange her financial dealings with him. That's a riot to Rav. Loi, no, we're not speaking that he's offering her mezainis. We're speaking he doesn't have enough to feed her. Oh, so in that case, certainly he can't control her earnings. If you're not feeding her, you have no say in the matter, right? Asks the Gemara, if we're speaking that she's not getting anything from him, remember, then why even discuss the fact that he has no control? Of course not. Isn't that obvious? There's no need to have a Mishnah for that. Even according to the opinion mentioned elsewhere, that that a master can typically turn to a slave and say, I want you to work for me. I'm not really going to feed you. You can do that. Go take care of yourself. Yeah, that's by Evet Knani, non-Jewish slave. Like Siv Bei Imach, well, the Torah does not use the word imach to indicate that you have to treat him like yourself. Aval Evet Ivri, Diksiv Bei Imach, but a Jewish slave where it says imach, you have to treat him with respect. Loi, you can't just negate him like that. V'koshken Ishta is certainly a person's wife. So that's pashta, of course. If you're not giving her anything, you can't control her. You have no say in her matter. What will be the point of the Mishnah? There is no point in this particular halacha. The reason why we discuss these cases is because of the next halacha in the Mishnah, which is a chiddush. Sefer Itzrich Lei the Ikar. Lesson of the Mishnah is the next part. Moisar. We had the second part of the Mishnah where he actually was magdish, the extra earnings above and beyond what she really needs for her daily sustenance. So then we have a whole shaila. Rabbi Meir Omer Hegdish, it works. Rabbi Yehuda Kessler Omer Chulin, it does not work. Okay. So bottom line is, Rav Huna, the name of Rav tells us a chidush. The starting point is mezainis, to her benefit. It was established to her advantage, to accommodate her needs, and therefore she chooses to give up that right. We're perfectly fine with that. Upliga de Reish Lakish. And this opinion is in dispute with Reish Lakish, who took a different approach. According to Reish Lakish, it's the other way around. The starting point is his privilege to receive her Masya Daim, and in exchange, he has to give her Messiahs. Dam Reish Lakish, Loi Tema. Tamad Rab Meir. Why does Rab Meir say that when he's magdish, the moisar, the extra earnings, it becomes hegdish? Don't think the reason is mishum de kasavar adam magdish davar shalei b'lo'olam. It's not based on the concept that a person can sell, it can commit, it can be magdish something which had not yet arrived. That's not why Rab Meir considered this hegdish to be valid. Right? You would think maybe it's because of this concept that a person can commit and can give away something in advance. That's not the reason why it's hegdish. Ella tamad Rab Meir. You know why Rab Meir considers her earnings to be hegdish, even though he declared them as hegdish before they even arrived, before they were even earned? The reason is, since a husband can compel his wife to earn, we treat it as though he said the following words. Since she's committed to him, her hands, so to speak, are committed to his work. So when he said, I'm being magdish, my wife's extra earnings, it's as though he used the following terminology, which pertains to something which is already in existence. It's not davar shaloi b'lo'olam. No, it's actually something which is here in front of us. It's as though he would have said, Yikotchu yodayich lo yisayim. I'm being magdish, your hands lo yisayim, to their maker, to Hashem. And the hands are here. Something which is tangible, something which is here. I'm committing the work of your hands. I'm committing the power within your hands. Right? So the hands are tangible, they're here. It's a reality. So that's called davar shabaloilam. We magdish the hands themselves. To a certain extent, right? Not magdish the isha, but it means what your hands produce, which is an aspect of your hand itself, right? Asks the Gemara, what do you mean? Well, he didn't say that. He said, magdish the earnings, not the hands. He didn't actually say that. The answer is, Kivan the Shaminin le Rab Meir. Since we already know that Rab Meir holds elsewhere, the Amar Rab Meir said, Ein adam moitzi dvarav v'atala. A person doesn't just express, words for naught. Rashi brings the halach in Erchen. So typically, if a person declares, I'm committing to give the value of a baby less than a month old, so there's no erech, it's too young for erech. Rab Meir says, true, he doesn't give the erech, which is typically stipulated in the Torah based on gender and age, but he gives the actual market value. Damim. Why? He said erech, he didn't say damim. So Rashi says, because of this idea, ein adam moitzi dvarav l'atol. A person gets up and declares and promises and donates. The assumption is he wants to accomplish something. He's trying to give something. He's trying to express generosity. So although it's not going to work technically the way he said it, but whichever way it works, that's what he wants to do. So in our case as well, although he said, magdish the earnings, and earnings are not in existence, it's davar shaloi b'lo'olam. Nase ka'emela, we treat it as though he would have said to her, Yikotchu yodayich lo yisayim. Magdish the hands that produce the the earnings. So you thought you had a raya that was speaking about davar shaloi b'lo'olam. It's not so, because it's pertaining to the hands itself, the source of the earnings. V'savar Rab Meir, really? Rab Meir holds Einodam Magdish Dovash L'Bei L'Olam? Contra Meir, you can't be Magdish something which is not yet here? Actually, yes. Vatani, we have a Braisa, Mishnah, Aymer L'Isha. A person approaches an Isha. Hareyat Mekudeshesli. Right now I'm still a goy, but I have my plans to convert. And I want to make a kedushin right now, la'achashe is gair, which will be activated after I become a ger and I can, marry. Oy la'achashet is gairi, or she's a non-Jew, I want the kedushin to work after you convert. La'achashet ishtachrer, I'm now an eved. The kedushin will be introduced after I'm set free by my master. La'achar shetishtachreri, or after you're set free. You're now married after your husband passes away. I'm married to your sister, I can't marry you. After your sister, my wife dies, then we have kedushin. You're waiting for chalitza. After the chalitza, you have the kedushin. In all these cases, we're speaking about something down the line, something in the future, something which is not yet in existence. What happens? Rabbi Meir, it works. Clearly, according to Rabbi Meir, you can do something ahead of time. So why are you, indicating otherwise? You're telling me, in our Mishnah, it isn't based on, davar shalei bala olam. According to Rabbi Meir, it would work even if it's not in existence. Yes, me'ahi, from that Mishnah 100%, you've proven your point that according to Rabbi Meir, we can make a transaction ahead of time. Maha. But from our Mishnah, from the halacha of Magdish Moisar Idei Ishtay, becoming Hegdish, according to Rabbi Meir, like a lamash there isn't necessarily any indication of this sort, because as we explained, perhaps it's pertaining to the hands itself, which are tangible. HaMoisar, Rabbi Meir Hegdish. So according to Rabbi Meir, the extra earnings are Hegdish. Emas Kaddish. At what point do we say the extra earnings become Kaddish? Is it now or is it in the future? We have a machlekes. Rav Shmuel Damer Tavayu, according to Rav and Shmuel, they both maintain Moisar la'achar misa kaddish. We're speaking that this extra earnings will become kaddish, but only after her passing, and he's going to be yirish her earnings. At that point, the hegdish gets activated. La'achar misa kaddish. Rav Ada bar Ava Amar Moisar. These extra earnings mechayim kaddish immediately, even during her lifetime. Okay, that's the opening. Intro to this circuit. The Moisar is Kaddish, according to Rabbi Meir. Of course, according to Rabbi Yehuda Kessler not, but according to Rabbi Meir it is. At what point? Now or later? Machlekes. Havi Barak Papa. Papa asked. I don't understand. But what circumstance are we discussing? You see the Chachamim obligated a husband to feed his wife, ordinary, mezainis, as per need, and then to give her extra, pocket money, 1 ma'al kesef per week for the, for the extra expenses. So we're speaking about a husband who's complying. He's giving her mezainis, ma'al ma'al kesef, and likewise providing that ma'al kesef for her auxiliary needs. If that's the case, then why can't he be magdish the extra earnings right now? My time of the Amar la'achar misa kaddish. So why are you telling me that the Moisar is only kaddish la'achar misa? Why isn't it kaddish right now? Oh, so we're speaking of that fellow who's not really living up to his obligations. He's not giving her mezainis, the standard mezainis. Nor is he giving her allowance. So if he's not complying, my time of the Mechaim Kaddish. Why would anybody say that he can be magdish his wife's earning during her lifetime? He's not providing for her. How could he have access to it? Answers the Gemara. Certainly we're speaking about the following case. He's providing for her standard mezainis needs, but not giving her the extra spending change. That's the case. He's offering her mezainis, but no more than that. Oh, so the fact that he's not giving her the ma'al kesef is going to make him lose some control. The question is what? So really, it all depends on, what parallels what is meant to match what. As we explained, Anisha earns, her standard earnings, which the Gemara later will explain, a set standard amount of earnings, which were established as a general chiv of Anisha, and we have the extras, the extra earnings. On his side, we have the regular mezainis, her basic needs. Then we have the ma'al kesel v'tzarchel, the extra pocket change for the extra expenses. The question is, what parallels what? It's tit for tat. The question is, what is tit and what is tat? Rav Shmuel Savri, they hold tiknu mezainis tachas masiyadeh. They hold, look, it makes sense that in exchange for the masiyadayim, which is a common thing, right, a daily thing, a daily income, she will get her mezainis, which is also a common daily type of phenomenon. So it sort of matches up. So he gets the masiyadayim, she gets the mezainis. Umo kesef, why is she deserving of the ma'al kesef? Tachas ma'isa, because she gives him the extra earnings. So just like the ma'isa isn't really necessarily a common occurrence. Sometimes it's here, sometimes it's not. Likewise, ma'al kesef is also something which is something which she doesn't necessarily always, doesn't always necessarily need that extra money. It's not a pertinent, necessarily a pertinent expense. So it sort of matches up. Mezainis and masiyadayim are a matchup, and the ma'al kesef corresponds to the moiser. This fellow here, who offered her the mezainis, he's complying to that, but he's not complying with the extra, the ma'al kesef, right? So what happens? V'kiven delay kayav l'ma'al kesef. Since he's not giving her the ma'al kesef, moiser did dahavi. Who gets the extra earnings when she brings up extra earnings? Her. She does. Right? So that's why Rav Shmuel held, you want to be magdish the moiser, and you're not really doing your part, you can't affect her moiser. So the Rameir says that it's hegdish. He didn't mean now. He meant after her passing. Then he's Yerisher. Okay, now he has a right to access it, but not during her lifetime. You have no right to touch her extra earnings if you're not doing your end of the deal. Rav Adi bar Abba Savar, he switched that around. He said, Tiknu mezainis tachas moisar. Why does he give her basic mezainis in exchange for the extra earnings? The Gemara soon will tell us because there's a common denominator between these two. Mezainis isn't necessarily a set amount, nor is the moiser. It's not a set amount, and the extra earnings. So they sort of match up with each other. So he gives her the mezainis in exchange for the extra earnings. Umo kesef. Why is he giving her the extra coin? Tachas masiyadeh, in exchange of the masiyadayim. Umo kesef is a set amount. Masiyadayim is a set amount. Now, in our case, v'kiven the kayav l'mezaini, since he's providing the mezainis, meiser didei havis, he's deserving of the extra earnings. Therefore, according to Rav Adi bar Abba, when he's magdish it takes hold even during her lifetime. It takes effect immediately because he has full right to that. So that explains the machlekes. So that's Rav Meir. What does Rabbi Yechanan Sander hold? There's no hegdish at all. It's all chulin. Why? So I have to explain this. Why? So if you're going with the opinion that the hegdish is mechayim, like Rav Adi bar Abba, so apparently the Rabbi Yechanan Sander will hold it doesn't work because when he declares hegdish, it's not yet here. It hadn't been earned yet. It's davar shloi ba la'olam. See, Rav Meir held, when you are magdish, your wife's earning, it's as though you said the hands become kash, like we explained before. But apparently Rabbi Yechanan Sander does not hold of that svara. Therefore, it's called the davar shloi ba la'olam. It doesn't work at all. Let's shift over to Rav Shmuel. They hold that the hegdish according to Rav Meir works la'achar misa, not michayim. Because according to Rav Meir, you can be magdish davar shloi ba la'olam. Down the road, in the future. And now Rabbi Yehuda Kessler responds simply by saying it doesn't work. I don't hold of being ma'alish something ahead of time. Therefore, he says it's chul. So that's in a nutshell the machlekes in the Mishnah. So we explained that according to one opinion, the mezainis matches with the Masir Daim. According to the other opinion, mezainis matches with the Moiser. What's the the rationale behind this machlekes? Ma'ikam miflagi. What's the point of machlekes? What's the svara? Mar Savar, the first opinion, put mezainis parallel to Masir Daim. Why? Midi de shchiach, midi de shchiach, because mezainis is shchiach. It's a common daily occurrence, which matches Masir Daim, which likewise is it's a common affair. So it matches up. Umar Sava, the other shita held, we compare mezainis to the moisar, to the extra, and the ma'al kesef, which is a set amount, we match it up with the Masir Daim, which is a set standard amount. Midi the kite, something which is set and anticipated. Midi the kites is meant to be matched up with another item, which is a set and defined amount. So that's a better match. Okay, so that explains that machlekes. Okay, let's recap today's daf. We have a fellow who engaged in Isha. Wedding date arrives, no wedding. Mishnah says he looks after her mezainis and starts giving her the truma as well. How much of it is truma? How much of it is chulin to accommodate the made tuma? We have a 5-way machlekes. Rabbi Tarfon says all truma. Rabbi Kiva says half truma. Rabbi Yehuda says 2/3 truma. Rabbi Yehuda says enough truma, which would equal in value the chulin that she has to purchase for the made tuma. Rabban Shimon Gamliel takes it a step further. Give her twice as much truma as per the chulin that she has to purchase, which will make it easier and convenient for her to do that switch, to sell and to purchase the chulin that she needs. A Yivama cannot have the Yavam's truma until the actual Yivam takes place, because she's kinyan de achiv, she's his brother's acquisition. Menat Torah and Arusa can have truma, according to Mishnah Rishona, only after Higia Zman. According to Mishnah Achrona, only after Chuppah. Why? What's the point of the argument? We have two ways to understand. Either we can say Mishnah Rishona is concerned with her feeding her siblings, and that concern is set aside once the Higia Zman happens, because at that point she's eating separately. So that was good enough for Mishnah Rishona. Mishnah Achrona said, no. On top of that, we have another concern, sin point. He might discover a blemish. Until Chuppah, don't have the Truma. We have another approach, which learned a bit differently. Mishnah Rishona was also working with the sin point based concern. But you know what? Once Higia Zman comes and he's feeding her, he's going to have her checked out. B'dikas chutz shma b'dika, which will confirm and cement the relationship. No concern about abandoning it at that point. Whereas Mishnah Achrona was concerned that perhaps until Chuppah he might retract and have second thoughts. No truma until the Chuppah. Okay, then we went on to discuss a fellow who was magdish, the earnings of his wife. So we have two parts of the Mishnah. We have the basic Masir Daim. Mishnah says no effect there, no hegdush. We have two approaches. Okay, so if you work with the mezainis being, step number one, the point of the takana was to provide for her needs. We give her mezainis, and in exchange, for fairness' sake, we give him her Masir Daim. So the Mishnah could be speaking about a case where she says, look, I'm not interested in your mezainis. I'll earn and feed myself. So now he can't really access her mezainis, her Masir Daim, and he can't make them hegdish. If you work with the precept that the Masir Daim was actually the initial takana, he deserves her earnings, and in exchange he gives her mezainis. Apparently we're speaking, and when the Mishnah says that he cannot be magdish her Masir Daim, we're speaking that he's not offering her mezainis. He has no rights. He's not entitled to tinker with her earnings. That's the part number one of the Mishnah. Part number two was he was magdish the moisar, the supplemental income of his wife. We have machlokes tanoim. Rabbi Meir says becomes hegdish. Rabbi Yehuda Kessler says no hegdish. We have two ways to understand. We have Rabbi Shmuel, we have Rabbi Bar Ava. Rav Shmuel learned was speaking about la'achar misa, and was speaking that he's not really offering her what she needs. I mean, he's not giving her the extra, the coin which corresponds to the moiser, and therefore he's certainly not entitled to that moiser until after misa. Okay, so the question is whether that moiser will become hegdish la'achar her misa. Rameir says yes, because you could be magdish davar shaloi b'lo'olam. Rabbi Yehuda says no, because you can't be magdish davar shaloi b'lo'olam. We have Rav Ada bar Ava, who takes a different approach. He says we're speaking that he is providing whatever it is that corresponds to the extra supplemental income, so he's really in control of that. He really should have access to that. Therefore, Rameir says, yeah, his hegdish works, even during her lifetime. Because the presumption is that when he said, I'm being magdashit, either it means that he's actually being magdash davar shalei b'lo'olam, or, as we explained in the Mishnah, it's yikash yodayach lo yisayim, it's like being magdash the hands. We conclude that we don't really need that svara, because according to Rameir, you can be magdash davar shalei b'lo'olam. Whereas according to Rabbi Yehuda, it doesn't work, because we don't view it as though he's being magdish the hands itself, in which case he's being magdish the future earnings, which are not here yet. That's davar shalei b'lo'olam, and therefore it doesn't work. Therefore Rabbi Yehuda says the moiser remains chulin. All the best to you, and hatzlacha Rabbah.